Welcome to Thought Crime, baby.
Rated PG for parental guidance suggested.
The ancient Romans had a word for protector of the home, Lares. Since birth, it is a name I have had to live up to. My family and I, we are creatures of the night. And when we are hungry, we are the ones that the book of Revelations has warned you about.
I thought you loved this place.
And this is
Thought Crimes.
Welcome to Thought Crimes, everybody. I am Prince Solomon, along here with
Sincere Ignorance, and we have a special guest with us, Prince Onyx.
Yes.
He's a director, and he's here with us to talk about his work.
yes, absolutely, the brother Prince Onyx. Prince Onyx, Mr. Onyx, how are you doing?
I am good. I'm excited. I'm just so pumped right now. I'm ready to go.
So you said Confusion is a film that you're working on right now. You already did 1 and 2, and you're on the production of 3 right now?
Yes, that is correct. So back in 2015 is when we started the first installment of the Confusion film series with Confusion: Diary of a Confused Vampire, which is available on YouTube. And then last year we did the sequel, Confusion 2: Betrayal, which I actually starred in as one of the new characters. And this year we decided to do a soft reboot. And so this is Confusion 3 Part 1, Trials of the Gods. And this is a prequel. So it's a crap ton of new characters. And we have like a handful of characters from the first 2 installments. So who make like little cameo appearances. But basically this one is basically tying everything into each other because it takes place 13 years before the events of the first 2 films.
Wow, that is incredible. And again, if the people are not familiar with it, you can actually find Prince Onyx with the Confusion film series. He does have this as well on YouTube. Onyx, man, you know, I had a chance to catch a couple of episodes of the series itself. What I like about it is that you had an interesting take, whereas it wasn't the usual, okay, vampire just running out and attacking random people, but you actually wanted to explore the feelings and the emotional side of the vampire. What made you go that route?
Oh, well, really, it was just seeing different movies, vampire movies, and I felt like I could do something different. And it's like the fun fact about Confusion is my favorite childhood heroes growing up are the X-Men. And so I always tell people that Confusion is like my vampiric supernatural version of X-Men. And it's like if you look at it, certain characters, you can kind of tell who they are inspired by. So I just wanted to show that supernatural beings, whether it's vampires or the voodooists or the gods and goddesses, the Orishas, African gods and goddesses, they are somewhat human, quote unquote, in the sense of we have the same issues as regular people. And, just because we're supernatural doesn't mean that we're 100% perfect. So I really just wanted to show more of a humanistic, if that's even a word, a humanistic side to supernatural beings, but also still have it, have that supernatural feel, of course.
That's great, actually, because sometimes with science fiction and some horror tales, they usually keep it one-dimensional, and that's been becoming more of a trend lately. So it's really interesting with these particular characters that you delve in really deep, and like you said, you explore their emotions. And then not only that, you also have, people of color, people who look like us within the film as well.
Oh yeah, that was like my main goal when I set out to do the first Confusion film, is that, fun fact, I originally wanted all the vampires to be black, but I ended up getting the best of both worlds. So we have Lares, who is played by an Indian actor. We have Lita, his leading lady, who's played by a Filipina actress, and the rest of the vampire family is black. And other characters are black, and we have a couple of Latinas, and a couple of white folks in there. And yeah, so it's like just a big old melting pot of everything. But I mean, as long as black people are in the forefront, that's all what it's really about.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, could you explain to the people about P Nerdy Film and the production process, and also you being an independent filmmaker? How is that going for you so far?
Well, P P Nerdy Film Productions. I came up with the name. Originally, it was Nerdy Film Productions, but I decided to add a P because I felt like the tagline is perfect films made by perfect nerds. So it's basically showing that, like, you know, nerds, we can do, or whoever classifies as a geek or a nerd or whatever, we can do amazing things when we put our minds into it and put our own money into it. And so basically what we do is we make films on what's called micro budgets or shoestring budgets. So we make films for, like, of course, under $100,000. I mean, if we did have $100,000, Lord knows what I would do with that. But anyway, we make films for way less than your average movie, and we still are able to give off quality to people as opposed to quantity. Being an independent filmmaker, I mean, especially a black independent filmmaker, or shit, another layer of black gay filmmaker, it has its ups and downs. I mean, oh my God, after I did the first Confusion, I was like putting it into film festivals and I kept getting rejection after rejection. And I was just like, God damn it, I can't take this anymore. But then I decided to, one film festival actually did accept us, and we went, had a good time, built the fan base, met people, and, you know, did networking. So, you know, that one yes is kind of what kept me going. And even if I get 1,000 no's tomorrow, I just know that eventually I'm going to get that one yes, and I just keep pushing. So I keep pushing the movies, because Confusion 2 is only available for $10 via download link. The first Confusion film, like I said, it's available on YouTube, Diary of a Confused Vampire. And I just promote the film series until people get sick of it and they actually want to take interest. So I just like to be like real direct, raw, and in your face.
What type of equipment can you let the audience know of? You know, anyone who wants to be a photographer or a director, what type of equipment can you advise for them that will fit their budget to start off as?
Well, I would definitely say get a tripod. Try to find one that is, while it can be cheap, find one that has good quality and it'll last you long. For a camera, I use, like today for our photo shoot with the cast, we used my Nikon camera and it was like $200 with free shipping on Amazon. With boom mics and audio, a boom pole is like $30-something, so it's pretty, you know, relatively cheap off Amazon. And then with the boom mic, find the best kit that you can. I mean, they'll probably run you either $89 or $79, and that's pretty much as far as that. Other equipment that you might need, lights. There's a lighting kit that I bought off Amazon, which is like $49, so it's not that much. And you know, just be willing to, you know, go out on a limb and just invest in your own, you know, in your own stuff, because this is stuff that you want to do. But anything else, I would say look into like film equipment stores, see how much it will cost to rent for an entire day as opposed to per hour or for a couple of days, and just really have everything set. Like, have a strategy. Don't just go in, you know, thinking that you can just do this and do that, because trust me, you'll end up on your ass faster than you can blink. So just be ready to spend money and invest, because you got to invest in yourself before anybody would want to invest in you or your product.
Absolutely. I definitely can concur with that one. Investing in yourself, and because of the times, we living in an age where it's no longer, you know, north of $100,000 or $500,000 for just a small budget film. You know, like 20 years ago, that's what a small budget film was. But now, you know, if you have enough imagination, enough fortitude, and, you know, the right intuition, and of course, you know, just some networking with friends, you can make something happen. Now, Onyx, you're out there in Chicago, right? You're out there.
Oh, yep, sure am.
Yes, you're out there holding it down in the streets of Chicago, right? Riding around in your car doing donuts in the middle of the parking lot with your Chief Keef music. Is that correct? What can you tell some of the people? What are some of the misconceptions about Chicago?
I mean, the main one is the violence, of course. I mean, yeah, there's violence, but it's like, it's not as bad as they make it seem. Like, you know, it's like, my whole thing is, and I've told my friends this, is that when it comes to your surroundings, like if you know that you ain't supposed to be at a certain area at a certain time, or, you know, if you out here set tripping, in the words of E40, and you know that's gonna get you beat up or worse, don't bother doing it and don't make yourself look like a fool. Like, I just say, you know, look out for your surroundings, know where you at, know where you shouldn't be, and don't be an idiot and don't be flossing, you know? So I would just really say to just keep your eyes open, and that's anywhere, not just in Chicago. Shit, that's anywhere. But of course, the media loves to hype it up as if we're this big bad city, but it's like, no, we're a beautiful city. We have so much culture, and you know, it's just we you know, have some shitty politics and just a lot of crazy stuff that's going on, but it's a beautiful city. Just got to be aware of your surroundings is all.
You know, there are people like, for example, in Jersey City that were like, oh, it's bad and this and that. But that's been my experience as well. You know, I just didn't go places and I had never gotten in trouble. And I know me, I'm not talking about the police officers. That's a different story. I'm talking about when you're engaging with just other civilians is what I'm talking about. You know, I've never had any issues because there's certain people I just knew to stay away from. There's certain areas I was like, I'm not going. But, you know, when you really just walk around the city, is not bad at all. You know, I think it's the case with most of these cities where people are acting like it's the boogeyman.
Well, it just depends, yeah. She stated.
It just depends.
Yeah,
it just depends. Like, people treat it like it's the damn 4 horsemen of apocalypse. It's like, no, it's like, know where you're at. Like, and just like Sincere said with the cops, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But yeah, it's like with other civilians, just know where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people are friendly and you got the not so friendly people, and you just, again, maneuver smart. Don't be dumb.
Also, is when it comes to your shooting, is it in Chicago exclusively?
Yes, we exclusively film here in the city. Last year we did here in the city and parts of Maywood, which is a west suburb. And this year we are in the city as well, but we're also going to go back to Maywood and to a couple of places in Joliet, and which is like, I think, south or whatever. So we're definitely like expanding a little by little, not too much. But yeah, we're definitely expanding to different parts of Illinois, just little by little, because certain cast members, they live in areas where they were like, oh, we can use this park, or oh, I got a friend who has a cabin in such and such, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, you know, they tell me stuff and I'm like, okay, great. Let's do location scouting and let's knock it out. So yeah, we definitely are expanding little by little, but the whole Confusion story is set and based in Chicago, hence why we only shoot here.
So does it depend on the scene? Like, if you want it just to be outside but focus just on 2 people, do you go to the park where there's not a lot of people? But then if you want a scene where I guess you can see the vampires at night scouting or looking for the hunt, do you have somebody in the corner in a place where it's busy? Like, how does that work for you?
Well, yeah, if we want to do a park scene, we find parks where it's not a lot of traffic. In other words, not a lot of people, and we shoot there. Of course, we got to be mindful of the cicadas, the lovely bugs that love to make noise in the summer. But and then when it comes to night scenes, we definitely have our PAs like out on the corner or wherever it is that's close to us, just scouting out and looking out for us, and we get in and get out as soon as possible, and you know, we get it done.
Absolutely. Who were some of the directors that inspired you into becoming a filmmaker yourself, Prince?
I would say Spike Lee, Malcolm Lee, his brother. What's the guy's name who makes Resident Evil? Wes Anderson, I think that's his name. Who else? Ava DuVernay. Hell, even Issa Rae, like with the whole YouTube series and now how she's on HBO. Just people who I like have heard about and looked at their work, and I'm a fan of their work. I'm just like, wow, like hearing their stories and stuff like that, it just puts so much inspiration in me to finally get off my butt and do something. So I'm very happy to have these people and a couple of more whose names are slipping my mind, but have these people inspire me.
Absolutely. Now, to the people, how long have you been doing films?
Well, I actually knew since the 5th grade that I wanted to write and direct, and it was around 2014 after I watched the show Hollywood Divas, which has my cousin Elise Neal. She's my cousin on my mom's side in it, and I decided to finally put forth a good effort, and I wrote out the plot for Confusion, and then in 2015 is when we cast it and actually shot the film. So I would say about like a couple of years now. So from 2015 when we actually shot it to now, so about like 2-3 years. Well, yeah, May will make it 3 years this May.
Also, for the cosplay, I wanted to know, Prince, are you doing the cosplay, or do you have like a team or a individual that's the go-to person for that?
Well, I actually, being the brainchild of Confusion is kind of like a gift and a curse, I always say, just because there's so much going on in my crazy mind. But I basically came up with the idea to have the female vampires wear the whole corset bustiers, or however you say it, wear those outfits with the leather pants, and with the male vampires, I just told them, look in your closet, bring something cute, bring something sexy, and I'll whip it up for you. So there was that. But I pretty much came up with everything with the costumes. I just have my casting director and my first AD and co-producer, Stephanie. I have her, you know, help out with giving input here and there. But I pretty much come up with all the costumes, and it's like I draw from different things. Like, again, X-Men, Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil. I draw from different things. I just let people know, okay, here's my vision. If you can get something that's close to this outfit, I'll love you for a long time, and I'm very grateful. So yeah, I come up with everything.
Oh, that's great. Absolutely. And it seems like you do have your hand in pretty much every pie there. You mentioned the different positions that you have as far as casting director and designer as well. Can you stress the importance of a team?
Oh my God, I can't stress it enough, but it's like, it's so important to have a team. Like, you want to do everything by yourself, which, yeah, it seems like a bright idea, but trust me when I tell you, the stress will kill you in more ways than one. Like, it's so important to have a team behind you. Like, I have my best friend of 10 years who is the co-producer, co-director, co-writer, my first AD. Then I have one of the actresses who's the second AD, co-writer, and other things. Pretty much, like, I have the actors, the cast members sometimes switch into crew members as well. So it's like, because we're like such a small cast and small crew, I have some people pick up PA positions, the whole production assistant thing. So it's just very important to have a team. Never try to go into this beast that is making a movie by yourself. Always have a team. Like, gather your friends who may be interested, or, you know, network, do whatever it is that you got to do. You know what I'm saying? And just have people behind you. Have a strong team, because you are only as strong as your team.
Absolutely, Prince Onyx. And from what we've seen, you have a very strong team behind you, strong work ethic as well. And of course, you've been a wonderful supporter here at Thought Crimes. Go ahead, Onyx. Tell the people, how can they reach out to you?
Oh, yes. Well, you guys can reach out to me on Instagram. It is Prince Onyx, or you can look up Prince of the Go. That is Prince on the of the Go, like, you know, short for Chicago. So you can look me up there via Instagram. I'm on YouTube, Prince Onyx, Facebook, Prince Onyx, and yeah, that's pretty much how you guys can reach me. Oh, Twitter, Prince Onyx. So it's like, you know, that's how you guys can reach me. I mean, yeah, of course, I will send you guys the links so you guys can put them, you know, in the description box for everybody to look out for me and find me. But yeah, I'm pretty much a viral guy. I'm not like a viral celebrity, but, you know, I'm pretty viral. I got my social media sites. They popping.
So everybody, remember to go check out Prince Onyx. He's told you about the social media. You better go check him out and follow him there. This is going to be the new director Onyx. So everybody, please support this man. Also, don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel. And we are out.
Peace. Thank you, Prince Onyx.
And thank you guys. Oh my God, you guys are freaking amazing. If no one's ever told you that. Love you guys so much.
I saw the check, nigga. Huh?
Stop.
Go to our Patreon for more. And don't bother me.